Hey guys, it's Scott. So I was by myself this week, so I decided to bring in a special co-host. His name is Adam Harrington. He's a single dad. I've known him forever. We actually grew up together. He's an actor and a comedian, really talented guy. And he's here to talk about blending your families, because that's something I've been thinking about a lot lately since I've been dating someone for a year and a half. She has kids. I have a kid. And this is something that Adam has been able to do fairly successfully for over 4 years. So I'm really hoping I can learn a little something from him. So let's get started.
I'm Lily, single mom to teen twins.
Father! I'm recording in here!
And I'm Scott, single dad to a preteen boy.
Dad!
It's under the sink!
We're two old friends trying to navigate single parenting.
And spending the whole time thinking, I hope I don't fuck this up.
I've been trying to blend my family just a little bit with my girlfriend. She has 2 kids. I have my kid. Mixed results. And so I have called in a heavy hitter to be my very special co-host for this episode. His name is Adam Harrington. He has been successful, I will say, I mean, we'll see what he has to say, in blending his family with his girlfriend. He and I are old friends. We've known each other since we were tight little tykes. And I'm so excited to have you here, Adam.
Hey, Scott.
Because, you are... you know what you're talking about.
Well, that's fun to hear. It's nice to hear that. Of course, it's not the voice that plays in my head ever. So it's nice to hear another voice say that. I know what I'm talking about. Especially when you have, when you're around kids who are of a certain age, they know everything that they're talking about. And so the moment you say anything, you're an idiot. So, and they're like, what? So that's nice because I do know what I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah. You keep telling them that. So you have one son, right?
I have one son, Miles, he's 8. And then so I have blended. It's funny when you said to mixed results, because there have been times where some people or friends who maybe don't know the blended, there's one friend in particular who used to always say, you have a mixed family. No, that's not. It's
a little different.
Yeah, you don't want
I have a mixed family.
Yeah. Yes, exactly.
You don't have a mixed family.
Mixed.
I have a mixed
They're
family.
blended, but blended and mixed. Sure. Blended. And then, yes, I have, I call them, stepdaughters, the 13 and 10-year-old daughters with my partner. And we blended the respective families. Where are we? What is this, 2025? Yeah, 4.5 years ago.
So you guys have been living in the same house for that long?
Yeah. And yes, this is the 3rd house we've lived in together in 4.5 years. So there's also been that. There've been a lot of moves. We're pretending we're a military family, but we're not. I don't know. You haven't asked a question yet, but I will just say how we did it. We literally just did it. And it was definitely it's not like we did it after a couple months of dating. We had been dating before we moved in. We'd been dating for about 10 months before it happened, but which isn't that long, but with the COVID, everything got but it was really only about 4 or 5 months of serious dating. And then really the shutdown of all the things, and Shay was in New York. If that didn't happen, so it was a mix of just doing it and world circumstances. Before COVID, my son's mom, my ex, she had decided, she moved to Jersey before she wanted to leave New York. And I had allowed it. That was the co-parenting agreements, all of these things. And that was a decision I made. Looking back, and I'm not really sure why I made that decision. She gave me where I was okay, go ahead. And she moved pretty far. And then I had met this amazing woman and we were dating, and I told her this is happening, but we had just started dating. So it wasn't serious. And then blah, blah, blah. We fall in love. Things get more serious. But the whole time she's kind of I'm not moving to Jersey. So I was I don't know. I'll figure it out. I don't know. Maybe we had an apartment halfway. And then COVID happened, and she's the one, my partner, she was let's look at houses down in the Princeton area. I was okay. And then,
COVID accelerated so many
Yes.
relationships, right? 0 to 60, when you have to live with each other, it's the only way you're going to see each other.
Totally. Yeah.
How often do you have your son?
It's pretty much 50-50. During the school year, oh yeah, you know all the lingo. It's at this point it's an 8-6 kind of out of 2 weeks. Yeah. And then during the school year, but we my my son's mom, my ex, we have a really good, like at this point, it's an excellent co-parenting relationship, which I'm very,
awesome.
very happy about.
I'm surrounded by these really
I know.
well-balanced co-parents.
It wasn't always that way, and it took a lot of work on both sides and like time. But because there's a lot of flexibility, I mean, we try to keep a good schedule for him because that's important. But like holidays and then the summer, it's basically we just kind of go half and half. So it's all good. It's a good schedule, and it works for Miles really well. And
How far away does she live?
like 4 blocks.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Well, that makes life a lot
Well,
easier.
that's the whole thing. I mean, there's so much to the story, but like she was the one that first moved to Jersey, and I didn't want to, but she was like, I don't want to be in New York. So I'm like, okay, we figured out a place.
So healthy. Everything sounds so healthy.
I know. And people that had known my history with my ex, like from when we first, and like some friend, they were like, what? So I'm like,
Well, it just shows people can change. They can.
Yes.
You let them, and you're maybe in the world's worst relationship with your co-parent now. Give it a couple of years, and
that's totally.
and some therapy and some anti-anxiety medication, and you might be in a better place.
I know. Totally. And like choosing like everything, you choose your battles, you let go of things. I mean, it was both of us. That's the broad stroke of that whole story. Yes.
It's always good because I'm working on my relationship with my ex. It's getting better all the time, but it's still fraught, and it always is helpful for me to hear, because my co-host Lily, she like has the world's best relationship overall with her ex, and it always makes me feel like what the hell's wrong with me, but
no,
it takes time. It does take time, and it's like there's always anger underneath it, and
I know once you feel it, because it was for a bit, like a while after, even when, looking back at it, there shouldn't have been like enough time even had passed when there still was those feelings. And it was like when I was first dating Shay, I emotionally I was over all of it, but it's very complicated, a lot of stuff, but like it's time is probably the number one thing. And then like circumstances, she had her own child, like all, and and I had another relationship, like
motion. You're moving. You're moving.
Totally.
Your lives are moving. Her life is moving. Your life is moving.
Yes.
I think,
but yet you're tied to each other in some way. So they're moving in separate directions, but you're like have to be like in this orbit.
You got that little line there that's tugging you all the time, and it's like a fish hook.
I know.
It's something. But it just gives me hope to see, because it's funny though what I wanted to ask you about blended family. So how did your son get along with your two? I guess now you're calling them stepdaughters.
Yeah, stepdad.
Like how did he get along with them? Like, was he excited about it? Was he protective of his relationship with you? Like, how was he about it?
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, no,
that's a lot of questions. Yeah.
No, initially and continually, but like, because he was 3 at the time, and then it was 5 and 7.
He was so young.
8. So everybody was young. He's adorable, and as a 3-year-old, they initially he was like their doll. I mean, truly. And so which maybe we'll get into, but like my relationship with my stepdaughters have also evolved, and especially they're different with each one of them. And like the oldest, it was harder for a while with her, and I think because of that's her mom. But the thing that made it easier for them and all of our relationship was the fact that I had Miles, because like they loved him so much. So it's funny because we all just talked about this. We were in the city this past weekend, spent the night in a hotel, a little staycation. It was super fun. And at lunch on Sunday, we were actually having a whole conversation just about like us as like a family and like things in the past. It was really good. And hearing like Miles talk about stuff. But like Shay has said, like, the reason why like they accepted you, even it was Miles initially, because it was like, we have a younger brother and he's like so cute and fun. And Miles was just along for the ride. Yeah, but listen, they fight. They kind of did even early on. Like they fight like siblings, and then they totally get along like siblings.
So my girlfriend has 2 kids, and her son is about a year younger than my son. They fight like siblings, like so much, but it almost gets a little too far sometimes, because it's weird there because they're not siblings. So to fight like siblings and they
Yeah.
don't live together. And so
Yeah, see,
it's,
that's okay.
so, it's like, that's what I always find interesting is that line, right? Where the line of like, where they're fighting kind of like siblings, but they also know that they're not. And like, did you ever have that where they were aware of the kind of difference in relationship, or did they always just feel like brother and sister all the time?
For sure. They've always been aware of that. I think where it comes into play them with each other, yes. A lot of it is though how the fine, and also living together is different, as you would imagine. Like it would be different relationship if we had separate places for sure, just because of when you're literally living with people, your relationship in general changes. That's why like my relationship with my stepdaughters is different as if I were just the boyfriend. Like we have gotten the cliche, like as stereotypical whatever of like, you're not my dad,
Oh, that's happened?
Yeah, for sure. Not as much.
Wow.
I mean, also time changes everything because as they just get older, that just doesn't. And like the oldest who I would have a little more things years ago, she's now 13 and like her whole deal has changed. So our relationship has changed and for the better. It was always great and there was love there, but she was protective and had a different relationship with her mom than the youngest, who was and now the youngest, she's getting to that same age as the oldest was. And so she and I are getting into a little bit more of stuff, which I'm like, I
remember this.
Yeah.
This is familiar.
We talked about that even yesterday. I'm like, I mean, Emma's just, and she's kind of like, she was explaining why. And I was like, no, I hear you, but you can maybe just stop though. No, but like, because there's still the fairness thing, which happens, I think, even with, I had two older brothers of like, you treat them differently, but it's amplified when like my relationship with the girls are different than Shay's relationship with Miles. Miles is not here as much. I'm very involved in the girls' lives, like just their day to day. They see their dad every other weekend and I'm not their dad at all, but like, that's a whole separate issue. But I like, for the last 4 years, I've driven them everywhere. I was during COVID. I do feel I'm like I'm very part of their life. So sometimes I don't give them consequences. There's never been a time where I'm like, if you don't do this, not consequence.
I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah,
because
so
that's come up once or twice. Like, can I mete out consequence?
See, here's what I'll do: is I will impose or I will carry out the policies of the administration, which is their mother. I will do that if she, because I'm there to support her with that. That's how I feel. It's like this is, and if we're talking like phone stuff, things that are very much like set by her, but where I'm like, but when it has to do with the house and where we live together and like cleaning this up, I'm like, I am the other adult. This is fair game, and I absolutely can and will tell you like, please pick that up. So when I get gruff about that, I'm like, nope, no. And that comes into play sometimes, like it'll be like to Shay, you don't talk to Miles that way, or that way, and it's like, that's true. Or how come you don't tell Miles to do that, but she'll tell her daughters that, and she's like, he's not my son.
Yeah.
And like, if it's about certain things, so it's interesting, and it's
so
like,
interesting.
and it's kind of fluid. And I know saying that, so I've said that to a few friends, like, you don't give consequences. I'm like, but what I mean by that is I don't say like, go to your room. That's not like, it's not that type of, or like, I'm going to take your phone away. It's not my place to do that.
I mean, it's so interesting the way you put it. You're like, the policies of the administration.
Yes.
And it's like, what's interesting though is
I'm the vice president.
But
yes,
you're the president of your son. And so it's like so interesting when they're all there and one of you is the president of one constituency and the other is the president of the other constituency.
Yeah, it's like a banana republic.
What happens when there is something all three of them do?
Yeah.
And now you've got two different punishments coming down. Like, how do you manage that?
No, that's true. If it's all, listen, if they're in like collusion and all doing the same thing, like I'm not gonna, I can't think of a moment where I've been like, well, I'm gonna go easy on him. Like if it's all there, then they're all getting the same. It's like, I will take I will just give the same or different consequence. Like, Miles, your iPad is gone for a week. Like, absolutely. And there have been it's been a while. There was, speaking fully honestly, like years and years ago when he was pretty young, and like I think about this probably two moments, but one in particular, especially as a single dad after I had when it was a couple of years just me, and he was so little, and Miles also a very laid back, easy kid. I never raised my voice. It just didn't. There was never a need to. There was never a moment. But then when you get into this kind of early on with like, I was dealing with their kind of things and like they would kind of fight, and maybe I would in my mind be like, yeah, but girl, you started that fight. But like I had to kind of, there were moments where
so hard.
I know, and I had to like make an example. And I remember one in particular, I went overboard with Miles to show, and it was like purposefully be like, I will do this. And so much so that I remember the girls were like, whoa, take it easy on him. And I remember, yes, and it was one of those parent moments of being like, oh, I feel like such shit for doing that.
I've done that though. I was fine. Like what happened to me was interesting. Is that so? One of my girlfriend's son is neurodivergent, and so he has ODD. So that's oppositional. So essentially, negative reinforcement feels as good to him as positive reinforcement. So he like negative attention. So if he goes out and he gets negative attention, that's awesome. But that also means you can't punish him the same way because, he doesn't take to it. Like if you try to punish him, for negative consequences, he's like, I got the attention I wanted. Like it's positive. You need to ignore it. And that's, you give him no attention. And so he did an awful thing to my son. And just like, not awful thing, but he did, said something really bad to him and nobody reacted. And I didn't react because I was told not to react and nobody reacted. And my son was so mad at me later because he's like, why are there no consequences?
You didn't come to bat for me. Yeah.
Just happened again sledding over the weekend where, her son put kind of ice in his hair and it wasn't a big deal. Like if it was like, it's sibling behavior, but there are no consequences because consequences, you punish differently.
That's really
my son is like, well, what the hell, man?
But you've explained it to him, but that's still very hard for a child.
It doesn't matter, because
no,
there's a piece of it that's about punishing, but then there's the piece of it that's about defense, like defending your kid. Sure, maybe punishing him won't make him stop doing this thing, but punishing him is justice. So,
totally.
So like the sense of he feels like he doesn't get justice. And that's been really like, it's hard to navigate when you're like, I'm following the rules of the administration. I am not going to act any differently than I am told I should act.
Yes.
But it actually feels bad to my son to see that. So I'm like trying to navigate that, and it's a tough one to walk. And that
is really hard.
Yeah, it's just tough to walk. I mean, there's no easy answer.
No, it is. Sometimes I feel, maybe I'll talk about this in therapy tonight, my couples therapy, but we just started. So fun.
I did that last year. That was delightful.
No, but like Shay she does, like, listen, everybody's trying and she does her best in most, like, I recognize almost all the time, like when one of her daughters, like sometimes there is just flat out rudeness where I'm like, because I don't see my son. I'm just going to say flat out, he doesn't, but it's very rare. Like the way he just doesn't speak to them.
Is your son a little angel?
No, just he doesn't speak to her.
He's just a little angel.
They just have a different relationship where there's like the talking back doesn't really happen as much.
Yeah.
But like I am. The other thing is I recognize it because my relationship is so like they feel comfortable. With me enough to be like, because they have a stepmom who they've had problems with, and they don't. I mean, I'm not there, but this is from their reports, and I believe like they don't speak to her that way because there isn't that like comfortability.
You're more, you can be, probably feels worse what you hear, but it means they're comfortable.
Yes.
Like that they're able to talk like that.
Oh, I think they're coming. Hold on one second. I have to tell, give me 1 second.
Yeah, there's a lot going on right now.
Hold on 1 second.
Listening to the little angels.
It's like funny. And I was like, I'm recording a podcast. It's like, that's the world. They weren't like, what? They're like, oh, okay.
I know he's so used to all this stuff. He just gets mad at me that he doesn't get to do it. He wants to start his own YouTube channel, and I won't let him. And he's just, and I won't. It's not even. He can't handle it. It's very like A Few Good Men. It's like you can't handle the comments.
No,
like I know he can't handle it.
Totally. Nobody can, even if they think they can. Nobody.
I was called.
Children definitely
I had
can't.
somebody. I got a comment on a video I put up like a week ago where the woman said, "You know so little. You should be sued for slander for what you're saying, and it's no surprise that you only have like 1,000 subscribers."
Oh.
And I was like, wait a minute. And I looked her up and she had 1 subscriber. I'm like, you go to hell.
Yeah.
You go to hell.
You and
I-
your one. It was,
You and your one measly subscriber. Oh God, he can't handle the con. He can't handle
no
any of that.
way.
Oh man, I can't. I mean, none of us can. But
No.
but I mean, it sounds idyllic. It's funny. Like I hear, because my girlfriend and I often say like we're never going to move in with each other while we have
Right.
kids.
Yeah, that's
because
interesting. I
it's-
mean, have you made that? Is that just like we're not
It's-
gonna? Yeah.
It's tough. I mean, her son can be difficult because of
Yeah.
the ODD, and honestly, my son can be tough too because
Yeah.
I've had 90% essentially, custody. And so he's very protective of our relationship, and he
Yeah, yeah.
gets very jealous, and he's very jealous of my girlfriend and he doesn't like it when I pay attention to her and stuff.
Yeah.
And so it's turned into this sort of, I have to manage his feelings a lot around that stuff. And I mean, I guess it was a lot easier for you just because your son was so young.
It almost sounds like the flip side, because I had that on the other side with especially with her oldest, because she had during the shutdown it was a little bit, but like it's basically 90s. It's similar. Like she has them 85% of the time, 90. So I had that especially with the oldest early on, of like so much protective, jealous, even
Really?
yeah, and when we were living together, so like I saw that on the other side, and I was always very sensitive to that, and like maybe of just like I always wanted her to know, like there was never a moment I ever wanted to be like, it's just our time. Like I maybe even to a fault, but it was like because we had every other weekend together. That's the thing. We've aligned our schedules,
Yeah.
so every other weekend Shay and I have our alone time. So like, and the girls know that. So if there was. It's changing now again because everyone's older, and now they're like, go out. We want to be home alone.
Get the heck
Yes,
out.
but it used to not. It was like you're going at like what? And there was a lot, and it was just like, but
Really?
So of like, why? But you're always together. Why would you want to or any like any sort of affection? Literally would like take the arm off.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Oh, I
that
feel
stuff,
so much better.
that
you know,
stuff
we should feel
happened all the
better.
time.
Is my
Yes.
girlfriend should feel better because she like gets the cold shoulder
Totally.
all the time.
So
and
I
she
was.
doesn't understand why. She's like, kids love me.
I felt the same way. I mean, and like other friends of mine who know me, they're like, "Oh my god, they must be psyched to have you." As I'm like, "Yeah, you would think," but like, no, it doesn't
I'm
work.
amazing.
Yeah,
Look how much
doesn't
fun
work.
I am.
yeah, like they don't, and then they see the version of me that's not this, because I can also just be like, and they're like, frustrated, angry, and there were moments. Again, it's been a long time, but there were in those first couple of years of like, I did step over a line in terms of like getting angry, just of like talking like this and not knowing them that way. And they would, and I knew there was even a moment they were like, Adam, when you do the tea thing. And so I had to be like, I can't do the tea thing. I'm just like,
I do the teeth thing too. I do that
and
too,
it
man.
scares. And so like, I had moments where I in that feeling, because I have that in my own just psyche of my childhood with my parents, of like, I'm in trouble. So there were moments where like Shay would like, I have to talk to you. I'm like, and like we'd have like a sit down, and like you said this to Ella, and I made her, and I'm like, by the way, like so well played, because it was, we would talk it out, but I felt like I was in the principal's office sweating, and there's like an 8-9-year-old, and I'm like, yeah, but she, like literally, like all of that stuff would come up, and I'm like, you're right, I did, I did not mean to. But it just came out that way because I was frustrated.
Good on her, though. Good on her on how she approached it. That's a really great way to approach it. Like, it's not angry at you. It's not like overprotective. It's let's just solve the problem.
Yes.
Communicate it.
I mean, listen,
that's great.
During fights with us, those things just come out of the blue. And then you
I know. It's all
always come out.
ammunition.
Yeah.
It's all ammunition. We're going to be very thoughtful in the moment.
In the
later
moment.
on,
but it's
going
here.
down.
Oh, yeah.
You're going down. I know. Like you see the gun on the hip, but you don't see the gun in the belt.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
That's the one coming later.
Yes, exactly. It's taped like Yippee, like John McClane style with the masking tape.
I know, just right up. Well, it makes me feel so much better though, because it's like, we've only been going out 1.5 years, which it feels it can feel long or not long, but like, and we're not living together. I mean, so knowing that like this is as common as it is, and that it's not something that's like peculiar to this relationship.
No.
That and especially because sometimes I feel, because I have him so much and it's an only child, and
Yes.
which, you have that too. And it's that sense of like, it's the two of us against the world. And now there's a new person in the way. And I'm sure your stepdaughter felt the same way, where it's like,
Yes.
I get 80% of this person. If I don't have that, what do I have?
Yes.
It's like, this is what and my son feels that too. And it's like trying to navigate that is exhausting. Because you're like, because it's not fair. None of it is like logical or fair. It just is. 100%. And you have to find out how to manage it.
And like, it's so not how I grew, I'm sure you felt the same way. Like when I first broke up and knowing like it was over with with my son's mom, and just that the pain of that was from the breakup, but it was less about the breakup, because fairly soon it was realized like, okay, that relationship was not really going to hold. But it was that thing of like, this is going to be my life now, and not knowing how it was going to turn out, and living in that like, my son's never going to feel like he's part of it just was so painful, because I did not grow up that way. I had such a like, I mean, it's not like everything was perfect, but just family wise, I just knew nothing was ever going to break up. It just, I didn't have that. So
you guys you guys are a clan. I think of the Harringtons as a clan. Like you're like a true clan. Like I feel like if this were the 1800s, you'd be fighting the McCarveys or something. Like you just have
totally.
that feel.
Jay with like his big muscles now, and like his
oh
his
God,
beard.
I saw him last summer, and I almost didn't recognize him. I'm just like, who's that pillar over there? I'm like, oh no, that's a human being. And the worst part was my girlfriend saw him and was like, I
like,
saw her eyes light up, and I was like, God damn it, no, you're dating me.
Yes,
and this is what you get. You don't get that. You get this.
Totally.
This is all you get in life. You don't get everything.
Come on,
man.
Yeah,
not fair.
No, but just like reminding myself with all of the girls and my son of like that they, it's a lot they're dealing with, and like sometimes you just think you're like, come on, because they do have so many things that are amazing. Like they have amazing because they have families. All of their family units are amazing and like are taking care of them, right? So they're very blessed and lucky. But compared to so many people in the world, but like. There's a situation like it happened just this past weekend. Miles is not so much of like it's something we're kind of dealing with, and he's been has had his own kind of figuring out, like not a neurodivergent, but just kind of like processing things, and it's been really interesting and eye opening, because like emoting things is not, even since he was little, like not many tantrums, but it does come out. It'll come out at certain areas, and there was a moment when I dropped him off, which is rare, where he did not want to leave, and he had like a meltdown, and it was like really sad. And then I was like, because I didn't want to change the schedule, he wanted to watch the Super Bowl with me, which was adorable. And I'm like, I didn't even know you like. I don't know what was going on, but like his mom and I then texted, which was good. And she's like, he calmed down after a bit, and like I think both of us, it's like he is allowed to have those every once. So I think he might have just been going through everything. Like we had an amazing weekend. Maybe he's like, I don't want to leave him.
Yeah.
But like, and he loves his mom, and he loves going home normally, but he just was like, at this moment, he'd like, this sucks.
It's funny. We would talk about how my son is bad with transitions. He's bad transitioning from this state to that state. And I sometimes wonder if that, and I'm no data or anything but my own life experience, but I wonder if that's sometimes tied to being, a child of divorce now, because it's like a transition is a big change. It's moving from this situation to that situation. And that, I'm sure, is exhausting to feel like I need to, like when he would go to see his mom or be with his mom, that's a whole different life. It's completely different than when he's here. Like he has to live a completely different way. And that's, I'm sure, exhausting. And so I'm sure he probably doesn't love the idea of transition.
No, for sure. I know. And that's why it is like, you try to have as many of the same things and I mean, we try, at least. I don't know, like
I know we fail, man. We gotta give each other grace. We fail.
No, of course. No, he did something with his mom like a couple weeks ago. It was nothing to do with me, but she was like, she took away like Harry Potter for like 2 weeks and like all sort serious consequences, and she asked if I would like implement it, and I did, because so I had to take all his toys away for.
What does he do with Harry Potter at 8? Does he read it, or does he watch it?
Oh, the books, yeah, he reads, and also like Legos. He's just that's his phase. Yeah.
Wait, he reads the Harry Potter books.
Miles has been Humble brag. No, he this had nothing to do with me. This is just like some kids about Miles was literally reading at 22 months. That's not even
Jesus.
Yeah, so he's a big reader. He just
Yeah. Well, I think I
like,
get my
just-
son to read a book only by like threatening him with like having to sleep in the snow, and then he'll read the book.
No, but I have to do the same thing with like physical activity with my son. Like we have to go.
Oh.
Say, I don't want. So that's you know what I mean. That's
Oh yeah.
because
Well, no, the same thing too. I mean, all
Yeah.
my son wants to do is play Gorilla Tag. That's all he wants.
wait,
But,
what is
like,
that? Is that a game or is that?
Oh
like
yeah, we got a VR helmet
Oh,
for Christmas. And so Gorilla Tag is you put the VR helmet and you're like a gorilla and you got to tag and you can only move with your arms. So he's just sitting there like wildly flailing his arms around. And you can talk to other people as they get closer, you can hear them, and then they get
Yeah.
farther away, you can't. So you hear these little tinny voices coming up, like, and he is just talking into the air, flailing his arms around, having the time of his life. And every once in a while, he whacks his hand on something, and I hear a scream of pain because I just said like, it's like he's like, I'm like, what's your own? He's like, I can't see. I'm like,
Gorilla
that's
Tag.
inherent.
yeah.
It's inherent in the VR experience is
Take
that you
off the-
can't
yeah.
see. Like, plan for that. So yeah.
Wait,
it's-
is that
it's
on
pretty funny.
MetaQuest?
Yes, he has a Meta. he has
I
a
have
Meta
one
Quest.
of those. The same older brother we were just talking about got it for us for Christmas too, and I've used it like 3 times. I gotta like I always forget. I gotta get those things. That'd be super fun. Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I mean, it's great. He's very active because he's flailing his arms
Yeah,
around.
yeah.
And he loves it.
No,
It's
but
not
it's
great for the eyes, so we're trying
No,
to
I
because
know.
he's getting eye treatments right now, so we're trying to mitigate that. But
Okay.
what I do like about it, I just love the fearlessness it instills in kids that I think they already kind of have in inserting themselves into social situations. Like he just goes up to a bunch of random gorillas and starts singing, and he's totally fine with it. Like he's
Wait,
just
because those are real people.
they're
also
all real
doing
people.
VR?
They're all, and it's all
That's
kids.
Crazy.
Well, kids or guys that sound sufficient, a lot like kids, and that makes me nervous. But we talk about what that's like. I'm like, here's how you can tell, if a guy asks for your phone, if a kid asks for your
Oh.
phone number or asks
Right,
for your,
right.
and he's like,
Your
well, if
address.
they ask for your social security number, and he's like, what's that? I'm like, exactly.
Okay.
No
Do
kid's
you
gonna
have
know
a
what that
visa?
is.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're like, what does your dad do for a living? Where is he
Right.
right now? Like, no, none of those things.
Right. Right.
So I get
right.
nervous about it, but he's more savvy about it than you'd think. But
Yeah.
it's-
No. They generally are. So.
And what's funny is he has gotten into playing, not that, but playing Roblox with my girlfriend's son over the phone. So
Okay.
he'll call him and they'll play on Roblox
Cool.
together.
Yeah.
So
there
like
you go.
they're finding these little, then you get them in the room together and they just destroy each other. But like from a distance, they do great.
That's the thing. And 2 boys. That's the other. That's a major difference that you're dealing with. Like the boy and the girl factor has probably made it easier.
Yeah.
It's just,
Well, I
it's
think
like,
the doll thing is, the youngest
Yes,
brother
yes.
thing. That's an easy way.
it's
Puts
just
them
not as.
into a place.
Yeah.
Whereas
yeah.
2
I mean,
boys,
that's-
it's like supremacy. Who's
It's
going to win?
100%. Totally. I mean, they've like, it's changed a bit, but they've like, I've literally put makeup on him, dressed him in dresses. I used to like love it. So funny, like my parents' reactions to that, and it's not what you would think. Like I would take pictures, and sometimes even while they were here, they would do it. And my dad would be the one like, he's beautiful, and my mom would be the one like, maybe you should take that. Maybe you should take that off. She would not like it.
Oh,
So
man.
funny.
Well, you know what? I'm not surprised. Sometimes
Yeah.
it's the moms that are
Yeah,
the
yeah.
most
She's like,
protective of the masculinity.
Yes. Yeah,
I mean,
totally.
that's really funny. He's like, your son is my grandson's so beautiful.
Yeah. It's like he looks amazing. He looks beautiful. He doesn't. And I knew it was like either way. If it wasn't a phase, it's fine. But it's like those things, and it just doesn't happen as much
Man,
anymore.
we just can't overreact to any.
No, it's
or-
like
or
he's putting on a dress. It's
who-
fine.
who cares?
Exactly. Who
I mean,
cares?
I don't know. Like we're in this situation in the world now where everyone is so freaking overreacting to everything.
I don't know what you're talking about. I feel like
I don't know
everything's going
either.
really
We live
well.
in this nice little bubble. Well, we'll leave it there because we had this was really helpful, like super helpful. I know
Was
you're
it?
just telling stories. It's so helpful to me
Good.
to know that you went through that with your stepdaughter. That what my girlfriend's going through right now,
Yes,
and
yeah.
that there's a light at the end of the tunnel for that.
There is, man. It's
process.
time, and also like it's you have it's like everything. There's like moments where you're like, oh, I thought it was great. You have the movie version of like she comes up to you and like, you're okay, and then that's like a moment, and then most of it's not. But then there's like we had the other day this amazing talk that very much felt like that, of just like everyone just being honest of like, I used to be like that, and then like you go to that moment of like, then there's reflection, and the kids get older, and they're like, I know, literally saying, no, I know that you drove us everywhere. I know that. And like, you literally.
Wait. You got recognition?
Yes.
Are you
they were like,
kidding me? That happens?
So it was like, okay, sometimes it's just all you want. Yes.
So you're hearing two grown men cry right now.
Yes. Tell her it's not going to happen for 5 years, but it might happen.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. Leave a like or a crazy comment. We'd love to hear from you, and see you again soon.